The construction of a culvert, told just not a normal culvert, big culvert, at the Mallam Junction section of the N1 highway is causing serious traffic. I've experienced it. Many of you have. Commuters say they spend up to 3 to 4 hours on the stretch. So who want to speak to the engineers and the public relation people on the project, and also will be live from the grounds this morning. And I have here with me the sanitary engineer for the Gamma Sanitation and Water Project, Gabriel Engman. Good morning to you, Gabriel.
Good morning.
Yeah, great. You're causing the traffic. And Crunchy Adamatete, a behavior change and communication specialist, also with the project, the Gamma Sanitation and Water Project. Good morning to you, Crunchy.
Good morning.
Let's start with you. You're the engineer. Why do you, white people, it's on YouTube plenty, they do these things in 2 days. Why do you people spend long time to do all this? Why?
You know, basically any project that you are undertaking, you have to basically look at the scope of work.
Okay.
You know, look at the time that it would take for you to implement that scope. So based on the scope of work and then your resources that you have, you strategize how much time you need to implement this project.
Okay.
So when we looked at the scope of work, we looked at the resources that we have, and we looked at the time. We noticed that it would take about 50 days to undertake this work. And some of the strategies we have put in place is basically to see how best we can run concurrently on some of the activities, so that we do not, adversely affect, traffic on that stretch. So far, we started on the 1st of May, 2018. We have advanced very well. Today is, I think, 29th. Yes, we have finished all the stages. We are the last stage of the work, which is about 60% complete as we speak. We anticipate that by the weekend, we'll be done for traffic to return back to its normal state. And so we are glad with the work that we've done so far, only that we appreciate the fact that it's caused some hell of traffic along the route.
It's good that you added the adjective hell of traffic. It has been hell of traffic, but then it means that you should have undertaken some great education and some communication with not only those around, but apparently those who will be affected because they commute daily on the road. How has that been going?
Yeah, we did extensive engagement. We met the STC, we briefed them, we went to the GPRTU, we briefed them, we went to the Metro Mass, we had a whole engagement with the drivers, so that even before they moved from their car parks, they were explained to the passengers what is to be expected on the way. And then we also went on radio, TV, we went on Facebook, we have our Facebook page. Even when we were cutting through the road, the first diversions, we streamed it live so people can really appreciate the work that is being done. So that engagement was very extensive. We met with the MTTD, so they are on site to also help. We also engaged with the telcos, because their lines passed through. So far, we've not had any incident, because before we started construction, they had to come on site, move their cables high, and then hang them so all these things have been done. So we've not had any major incident in that regard. So we are communicating on our phones with that. These are because we were able to engage these people well. And they testify that so far, this has been one of the projects that they have been engaged very well. They come to our site meetings, and these things are done. So that is the angle of engagement. And we did all these things because before any project of such nature starts, you're supposed to conduct environmental impact assessments, and you should also conduct social safeguards assessments. So when these assessments were done, we identified these risks, and we had to engage with the people involved to ensure that these risks are reduced to the barest minimum. And that's how come we even have it today. For the traffic, we also shared leaflets at the beginning of the project. We shared leaflets for 5 continuous days to people who lived on that stretch, for them to at least prepare to know that this project is going to happen, so that they can be ready for it.
Okay, but Gabriel, what essentially was the rationale for doing this? It's a already laid out road. You had to dig and all that. Commuters will be wondering.
Yes. Okay. The drainage works actually is the main focus of that project. Every year at that junction, previously there was a total filling station there, and that filling station has been, let me say, defunct because of the perennial flooding that occurs at that junction. So every year when it rains, or during the rainy season, that section of the road is always flooded. People's property and people's life are at risk. In fact, NADMO has always been under alert when it rains, and they've dedicated a team to be always going to that spot when during the rainy season when it rains. Even last Sunday, when it rained, they all came to that spot, and they realized that, look, our work was going on very well, and they were very, very happy. So the idea of we doing this work is basically to alleviate that flooding problem. There is an existing culvert there, which the capacity is very, very small. So we have assessed the flow there, and we've noticed that if we provide a bigger capacity, which we have done the design and everything, we would be able to get this problem solved. Now, you see, it's a stream. It's called the Barley Stream. It flows, and water, if intercepted and not really given the free way to flow, it then overspills its banks and then causes damage to property and lives. So we want to remove that bottleneck exactly from that particular place. And a number of options were considered when we decided to address this problem. So upstream, we did a culvert. We built upstream the culverts, the drains up to the junction itself, and we basically halted water from flowing into our work area so that it uses the existing culvert. So during the rainy season, we would just divert the water and let it flow through where we are working now, and then it would flow downstream. We've done some dredging that will ease the channel so that there's enough space for the water to flow. And that's basically the key problem. During the rainy season, when that place floods, it affects traffic seriously. Vehicles get damaged along the route. Vehicles break down along that route, and there's high traffic along that area. So we felt that, look, this is a good chance and a good opportunity for the project to consider, look at it, and remove that bottleneck from that junction. So that's the purpose for the work that we are doing.
Adama, our class 5 social studies and all that tell us that we have various seasons in the year. Why did you have to wait a rainy season to start?
That is the part that people don't.
I'm raising that, so maybe I don't get it.
Yes. So basically, we just didn't start. Like engineer has described, we started from upstream. So we were working from upstream, and we just got to the road. If we don't cut through, the rains will still come and the place will be flooded. So why don't we go ahead? Like you are traveling, you are in the middle of the sea. You either cross or you go back. In this instance, we cannot go back, because if you go back, the rains will still come, not only the traffic and the flooding of the road, but the houses along that area. There have been incidents where people have even died as a result of flooding in that area. So we got to the road at this time, and so we had to continue and finish. What we have done is to ensure that we are working faster. And like you mentioned, some of these things could be done fast. It could have even lasted longer. But what we have done is that the culverts have been precasted already. So we only dig the trench, prepare the ground, and then we fix the precast. Imagine we're doing in situ and we were doing the concrete right there. It will have to take 21 days for it to be ready before we move. But this one, they're already prepared. So once we dig up, we prepare the ground, we fix it in. We've had comments from people. Yesterday, an engineer was on Joy FM radio, And then they said it. One of the guys said, I was passing back, I saw the precast. By the time I came back, all is gone down there. You guys are doing so. It's a challenge and the traffic and the frustration, but believe you me, it's worth pursuing, and that's what we are doing.
I guess that's why we're doing this public education.
We thank you so much.
Let me add a little bit to that. And we noticed that we finished probably a month or two before and realized that, look, if we start cutting now without sensitizing the public, getting them to appreciate the work we are about to do and the effects it's likely to have on traffic, then there would be a challenge, you know. So my colleague Crunchy, you know, put together a communication plan to make sure that the public and those in that area are well informed, so that before we cut the road, we would be aware, the public would be aware of what is about to go on. And that's what we did. So we delayed a little bit to make sure that the public are aware before we strike, you know, we struck the road to cut and make advance on the project.
So physically, how would it work? It means that there's going to be a drain beneath the road?
Yes. So basically, as we indicated, we're going to cut the road, or we've already cut. We broke the project into 3 stages. The first stage looked at Awoshi-Kaswa traffic. The second stage looked at Odoko-Kaswa road. And then the third stage is looking at the Kaswa-Odoko stretch. So we dealt with the project in 3 stages, given the fact that we didn't want undue inconvenience to traffic on that corridor. So we blocked the traffic flowing from Awoshi over the Mallam interchange and then through Mallam Junction towards Kaswa. And then we worked on that section. We cut the road, we excavated down almost about 5 meters deep, and we prepared the ground, installed the precast culverts, and then backfilled, compacted, and covered the culverts that we had done. Ghana Highway Authority was very influential in assisting us with testing the compacted areas to ensure that they're solid before we covered the road for motorists to use. We moved then on to the second stage from Odoko heading towards Kaswa. We also did the same thing. We cut. After we cut, we excavated, installed the culverts, and we're done with that section. And then we now moved on to the third stage, Kaswa-Odoko route. We cut, prepared the ground, installed. And on doing all these phases, there were times when it rained, you know, and because of the excavation we had done, in fact, the water contained the drain contained the water from, you know, moving into people's homes, and we were able to pump it, you know, out gently so that it doesn't affect, you know, people within the immediate vicinity. And because of the works, we had to cut the road. We knew that there will be, you know, traffic, so we had to do diversions to get the vehicles to move onto the prepared surfaces and a few other alternative routes to address the situation. So basically, that's what has gone into the project.
Why weren't there diversions? Perhaps maybe the Pambros, is it Pambros?
Yeah.
And then maybe through Awoshi or other, and then we don't know.
Yeah, there were diversions actually from the Awoshi stretch. Before you get to the Berima filling station, there is a diversion that goes through Mallam, through Bawe, through Oblogo, and comes back to Weja. So those who, we put the signs there, so those who know that route use them. And all those who are going to Mallam, Weja, Bawe, they don't go through the main Mallam junction. So that one was easing the traffic from there. Now coming from Kaswa, the only diversion we had was the Pambros one. And then with that one, so we went ahead and engaged Pambros to possibly use the road. And we went there to assess the road. When you get to that place, you realize the road is very narrow. And then also, because there's a bumper harvest for the Pambros people, they have brought some of the salt to the roadside. Now, we did a lot of investigations, and we realized that in the previous project where the Mallam Junction was being constructed, there were scenarios where cars actually even fell into some of the ponds. So if we have done this one without any such incident, why do we want to risk the lives of the of Ghanaians by giving them that road that is so narrow? Because you must have policemen along the stretch to ensure that, and now they also have bumper harvest. So we said that, okay, the best we can do now is to work faster so that the inconvenience of 4 or 5 days could be dealt with, rather than exposing travelers to falling into ponds that could generate bigger problems. So that is why we didn't use the Palm Ross route. And then also, if even from Weja, you could still go through Weja, move to Oblogo, use the Bola Road back to the Mallam Junction. That route is there. So those who know it, the police people at the intersection are directing people in that way. So we have assessed all these things, and we want to move as fast as we can so that we can bring the place back to normalcy, so that people will not have to suffer this for long. So that is what we have done. So even for the place where we are working, the police have diverted. So the 2 lanes that the Kaswa Mallam people have is still there. But the challenge is that now, because there's a diversion, the cars have to slow down there. So whilst they slow, the traffic begins to build. So they have their 2 lanes, all right, but they have to slow and divert. And that is what is making the situation so difficult. So this is what we did in terms of diversions to ensure that people do not suffer too much.
Well, let's go real time. Get some pictures from the ground. And MFA Jiradosi is live from the construction area. And good morning to you, MFA. Good morning, MFA. Good morning, MFA. Well, MFA will be up in a moment, and then we can.
So we are currently at the Mallam Junction precisely. Now, what you see behind me are vehicles that are moving in from Kaswa and its environs, from the central region to the business district of Accra. Now, these people, we might anticipate, are coming home like from their houses as early as 4:30 or even 5 a.m. Because when we got here, some drivers were telling us in account that Brain Timumbuai, just to say that they've been in this traffic for lots of hours. Now, what you see behind me are cars that are diverting from those roads into this smaller way, but it looks like the traffic is getting better as compared to morning if you come and use this road. So this is what you see when you come to Mallam Junction. So the traffic is building up, but what we currently know is that it's becoming better, because at dawn I have friends who left Kaswa as early as 4:30, and they just bypassed the Mallam Junction. So that tells you how serious this traffic is. But I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I spoke to one of the engineers here who told me that phase 1 had already ended, and they were doing phase 2. So if you remember last week when we were here, we couldn't stand here because there were some drawings that they were fixing on this particular stretch. But it looks like everything so far has been covered, and it looks like the 3rd phase maybe has already started, because things here are getting better. Just that people keep complaining that traffic is still serious. So last time when we spoke to some drivers, they were complaining about the fact that they used to use this road about 3 to 4 times or during the day, but because of the traffic, they're unable to do a lot of business during the day. So basically, that is what is happening here at the Mallam Junction. I'll try to speak to some drivers, but it looks like they're not going to allow me, because they want the vehicles to move as fast as it can, so that those at the back will have the chance to also bypass. So that's what is happening here at the Mallam Junction, Roland.
Well, so MFA, have you seen some construction work ongoing currently, and have you been able to interact with those who have been managing the activities there, at least a foreman, and where have they reached as far as we're concerned this morning? What are you seeing on that?
Well, Yeah, so we got here some 5 to 10 minutes ago. I have only spotted these men who are directing traffic. I haven't seen the engineers on site yet. I must confess that the other time when we came here around 8:30 now, we saw lots of these engineers working, but this morning I haven't really spotted any of these people. So the people you see directing traffic are the only ones I have spotted so far. But let me try and cross the road and see what I can get from this particular site. So this is where, looks like the third phase, the third phase is happening. There is nobody here to speak to. So basically, that is what you see. This is the third phase. I'm sure that is happening at the Mallam Junction. I haven't spotted any engineer yet on site. Maybe they are yet to arrive.
Well, and MFA, where alternatively have we had commuters at least using once they don't want to go through the traffic? If you have spoken to any of them, who will share their experiences?
I can talk about it.
I really wish I could speak to some drivers, but those directing the traffic are not permitting us to, because they say that it's going to block us. But from where we came from, we use the N1 highway. I'm sure there's other alternative routes other people can use. I am not so sure. I don't use this route often, so forgive me, Roland, if I don't get it accurately, but we use the N1 highway. We came down the overhead. We didn't use the overhead on top. We know that it's been opened. We use the other routes, but it looks like the traffic rather is coming from those who are using the Kasua road, those coming from Kasua and the central region. Because for us coming from, Joy FM and in Accra to this side, we didn't really experience much of the traffic. And so that is what I know, but I cannot really give you the alternative routes because I am not confident with this route. Unless I get an engineer here to tell me which routes they can exactly use. I can't do that.
Thank you very much. I guess now we have to resituate your abode somewhere there. So this evening, please, you're moving to Mallam Junction. We'll rent you a house there. Try and negotiate with the landlord so that you get to familiarize yourself with the routes. Okay. But, Ms. Engman, so it means that what she's seeing there is what?
Yes. So basically what she's seeing there is the final stage of the culvert installation. Normally, when we install the culverts, we basically try to bind them together with concrete. So when we do the setting, I think they did it yesterday, they have to wait for it to set. And then when it sets, they now start backfilling to fill the voids, on the sides of the culvert and then start the compaction. So I believe they are having a meeting on how they will strategize on moving forward with that. I guess that is how come she didn't see any of them currently at the junction. But they are putting in place those measures to make sure that we proceed. Today is Wednesday. The compaction is likely to take about 2 days, so today and tomorrow, and then the backfilling of the road, compacting the road itself. So we are positive that over the weekend we can at least open that section, the third final section, to traffic, and then the other minor works that we have to do that will not really affect traffic, and it gives me hope, and I'm excited that this menace, if I have to call it that, would be curtailed by the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that timeline within the remaining 20 days?
No, in fact, the timeline was 50 days for the entire project. So starting from 1st May, we are supposed to complete on June 19th. However, given the fact that we have, let me say, fast-tracked the work, we intend to, as we are indicated, by the weekend.
Before the time.
So yeah, so we're saving almost, if we finish by June 3rd or 4th, it means we've saved about 15 days, basically about 2 weeks of time, for.
But basically, it's just within to make sure commuters don't see the traffic. Yes. There'll be other wrap-up.
Yes, there'll be other wrap-up activities which will not affect the commuters on that stretch.
Okay. Mr. Crunchy, I know you wanted to add something, but just hold on to that and add it to the next response to my question. I introduced you as Gamma Sanitation Project,
Yeah,
Water and Sanitation Project.
Sanitation
Okay.
water project.
Now, this is just one of several.
Yeah.
Okay. And you also said that you had started working from the end, from the upstream.
Yeah.
So from here, you've cut through now. Where are you going next? What will you be doing?
So once we've finished the cutting through and we've done the asphalting, remember when we have finished all these phases, we need to asphalt the whole road and bring it back to normals. And we intend to do this deep in the night, and then we'll asphalt the whole 3 stages. You know, now we're only backfilling and then leveling, but we'll have to asphalt it to come back to normal road. Then you go downstream. We're going about 30 meters downstream, opening up the space so that the water that comes up can
where
go
downstream
down.
is where? After the
After the
overhead,
phase,
I want to know where the downstream is. I don't see any water body or wetland area there. So.
There's a wetland there. I think the...
so that's where you're going to do the diversion? Or that's where you're going to work on?
Yes, that's where we're going to work on, so that the water from upstream, after it has gone under the road, where the big drains are, where the culverts are now, then it will move on to the next, and it goes into, the stream continues into the sea. So it goes through that. There's a wetland right after that spot. But mind you, this is not the only drain project. There's going to come the Kaneshi First Light one.
This one too, so they should brace themselves.
Yeah, basically, but that one, the diversions are better because you have the Mataheko route to use.
Already traffic now, Kaneshi has a lot of
So, but I mean, we have done all these. So you have Bubiashi to use, you have Mataheko to use. So that one is likely to be better. So this is, when we finish with this one, we're going to wait for the rains to be over, then we move on to the Kaneshi First Light one, which is also another major, and you realize anytime there are rains, the place gets flooded.
What will happen to the total?
Total
because we all may acknowledge that it hadn't been functional commercially because of the difficulties when it rained.
Basically, after we complete, we can't sit here and say that they would return. I mean, basically, the owner of the filling station would have to engage the relevant authorities, you know, EPA and I think the GMPC and those key stakeholders for license to reinstate. He has to present a plan on how he intends to do that and how he intends to ensure that the filling station is functioning according to the guidelines or requirements. So it will be difficult to tell whether they would do that. But there's space there for any form of work of that nature to occur.
Well, we're grateful for the two of you coming to a studio. We've had in the studio engineer Gabriel Engman, sanitary engineer, the Gamma Sanitation Water Project, and also Kranche Adamatete, who is a behavioral change and communication specialist with the Gamma Sanitation and Water Project. Kranche and then Gabriel, thank you.
We
wanted to add?
Yes.
Wanted to add a few. No,
we want to once again appeal to the travelers on the road. It's not we are not comfortable. We are not happy with the traffic there now. We say it is because of the flooding there, which will be solved when this construction is completed. And we have to also take into consideration the people whose houses are flooded every time there are rains because of this. And so let's bear with ourselves. I also stay in Mallam, so I suffer a little bit of the traffic. But we'll finish it and the place will be better for all of us.
Okay.
We want to thank them for their patience so far. And those who have not been patient, we know they've been accommodating. And therefore, we assure them that we will get this project done and they'll see the benefits after that.
Good delivery. You sound like a politician there. I love that. But the Gbawebulemi road, you know that road?
Yeah.
I'm told it's not that good, even though it's a diversion. Is it a diversion?
Yeah, it's a possible diversion. From Odogono Secondary School, there's a diversion there that goes into Digbewa. You could use that one, or you could come and use the Berrima traffic lights road. That is better than the other. So there are so many options, but this is for a short time. So
okay, all right. So thank you, gentlemen.